matinee of the Garden Report, and the Celtics do it again, Bobby. What's this, 7 straight?
7 straight.
7 straight wins for the Celtics here, taking the second of a back-to-back against Charlotte, sort of a back-to-back with a day off in between, and a nice little rest to get themselves right with the Golden State Warriors coming to town on Thursday. So obviously, a fair amount to talk about in this game. We'll keep it relatively short for you guys out there, and I know it's a work day, and I'm sure some of you guys will catch this show coming back from work or later on. But for our part, Bobby, kind of a play with their food sort of game. Felt like they could have put it away at any point in time. There was a bunch of times where it got to 12, 13, 14, and I think they rested, let Charlotte kind of come back into it. I think defense was good early. I think defense was optional for most of the second half of the game, if not, parts of the second quarter as well. And then Tatum'd, and that was that. And it's fun for him to have those kind of games. It was also interesting, Bobby. I know you tweeted about, and we'll start with Tatum. You tweeted about, Charlotte's strategy and how they were trying to double him and doubling him early when he would get the ball high instead of waiting until, the point of attack. And it kind of resulted in some really open threes from the Celtics, which again, I think is partially what teams want to do, get it out of his hands, get it into the hands of other people, make them beat you. But White was knocking down his threes early. Brogdon early, missed a few late. Al as well was knocking his down. And the Celtics were kind of making him pay with that. And then Tatum just got stupid there in that second half with what he was doing, particularly in the fourth quarter, and was just hitting contested shots in people's faces. And that was it.
Yeah, and that's the virtue of continuing to shoot in those spots. That's why they want those guys shooting as aggressively as they do, is to space the floor. And Smart reined it in a bit in this game. You saw a bump in minutes from some certain guys to fill in for those Jalen Brown minutes, maybe a tick lower for Smart than usual in this one. But it was nice to see some guard combinations out there, some second units, some Grant minutes, even though Grant didn't have the best shooting night overall. He hit a couple of threes for them, passed well out of the corners. They just gave Tatum outlets all game to pass out of those doubles, particularly rollers who could kick to the corners or finish inside. It was just a great passing performance. I think like 19 of their first 21 buckets were assisted.
20 of 23 in the first half.
Yeah, it was great. You had good energy in that first half, even while the Hornets were hitting a ton of threes.
It was, it was a lot of energy. Actually, you loved the bounce, the way they were playing. There was a lot of energy coming out. And then again, they got away from it a little because I think they were like, we got this. And, it did get closer than you wanted it to get, but they absolutely, the way they were moving the ball, the way, Tatum, especially getting rid of the ball, relocating, not just kind of dribbling into bodies and dribbling into pressure, and getting the shots that they wanted. You could see, the Celtics were getting nothing but open shots in that first half, pretty much anything they wanted whenever they wanted to get it. And, Charlotte was, a lot of them were contested, just some were going in. It's the only reason this wasn't like a 25-point game early.
Yeah, and they did a good job getting to the paint, too. They had a pretty significant paint advantage in this one, looking back on it, especially early. So the offense functioned at a high level, and you see how good they can look when they do work for shots like they're able to. And it's a little bit of experimenting lineups in between. They're trying to do some Luke Al stuff. They had a second unit with Pritchard out there in the second half that didn't play as well. When the main guys were out there, they dominated this game with offense, and defense early good as well with those second units out there. I love the runouts that they got, that ridiculous Rob pass to Tatum for the fouls. You had Tatum going to Rob on a play early, and then just great shooting across the board as well in this one.
Tatum had a couple silly passes. Obviously, the lob to Rob where he just kind of flipped it with his left hand. Best pass of the night was that top of the key, above the three-point arc, underhand whip to White down low, and he missed the bunny, which was too bad. But he just threaded that one in there. That was a high-level, kind of like flashy point guard sort of pass, not something you expect from Tatum. And so he was he was feeling it. You almost need these games from Tatum, which is like, it's like every once in a while you need to like scrimmage the JV just to kind of like work some stuff out. He was just kind of going through stuff. You could tell. I'm not gonna say he wasn't taking it seriously, but I think he knew he could do what he wanted to do here, and was almost just kind of like, how many different ways can I score in this game? And that's kind of that's the feel this one took on. He was, driving left, driving right, throwing lobs, doing pull-ups, passing, relocating, going around screens, very, very active. It looked like he was like, let me just see what I can do here, because there's nobody individually on Charlotte that's going to be able to stay in front of him. But as a team, it's just not the type of defensive team with zero interior pressure that he has to worry about, which means I can just get it going to the basket if I want, and that's going to be fine. And he did, and he just had a field day. And then he started hitting everything late, all of the pull-ups and all of that stuff late. So that was the capper.
It was great showmanship from him, especially at the end there, and you get the crowd going crazy. The way they've taken over visiting arenas this year, or opposing arenas, has been
That's embarrassing.
super impressive, super fun. Yeah, it's like a party in every opposing arena that this team goes to. You get the MVP chants, Brooklyn even. You hear when you go there, it's like that loud roar every time the Celtics score.
It's the non-serious fan bases. Like Brooklyn fans are fake fans. You've got the same.
You probably have the Grant entourage in there tonight. Yeah.
Atlanta, Charlotte. I mean, you have these cities like Charlotte and Atlanta that they're not huge fans of the pro teams, and these cities are very much kind of a lot of out-of-towners anyway. It's not surprising you're going to stuff a bunch of Boston people into these Charlotte type of games, because they're just friggin', the Celtics definitely travel well, and there's a lot of Boston transplants.
Yeah, it was fun, and this is the kind of fun you want in a game like this. They made it entertaining. They played around a little bit. We've been frustrated with that numerous times this year, but today it actually was enjoyable. This is a really fun watch. I loved a lot of the stuff Tatum did here. Besides a few of those turnovers at the point of attack, I think in the second quarter, he was nearly perfect. All the different things you said, and the high volume 3-point shooting, the free throws. I mean, he gets 8-10 free throws a game.
That's the difference. If you look at Tatum's stats across the board, the thing that's always gonna jump this year above all else, there's two things that jump: the ability to finish at the rim and the amount of times he gets to the free throw line. Those are the numbers where things have gone markedly up. I think it's 2 more free throws a game over last year, where he'd attempted a career high. He's almost at 10 free throw attempts per game, and the finishing in and around the rim has been outstanding. Those are the two areas where it jumps hugely for him, and those are the areas he's made big improvements, which is why he should just do that. Like that should always be option A. You don't like those games where he's setting people up. You got a little smirk, Bobby. What do you got there?
I'm setting up a good line, but you continue.
No, I like it.
I get it in my head. Well, I was going to say, you were talking in the middle of this game, Tatum should never take pull-up threes. His numbers are terrible. You wouldn't have gotten the 50 and the great moment at the end there without those pull-up threes.
Some are going to go in. Some are superstar heat checks, in games that you have under control. Obviously, he's not going to make 0% of them. The numbers this year are startling. As I said, is 31% on pull-ups this year is the worst shooting percentage by the top 50, in terms of those shots attempted per game. That's bad. His effective field goal percentage also the worst among those. 27% on pull-up threes. They're just not going in with enough regularity for him to threaten it. He doesn't need to. He's just much better when he attacks quick. What I love tonight? Catching the ball in the low block or the post and going to work there, quickly going before the double had a chance, before any other pressure had to come over, and quickly making your move towards the basket or just turn around and shoot from those spots. It's so much better than getting the ball top of the key and doing the rock the baby, setup for the pull-up. That shouldn't be his game.
Step back. Do you like the step back?
No, the other stuff he's so much better at. I think that stuff is like residual in his head. That's what he was leaning on early. He can score in so many different ways and be so much more effective. I would just put that stuff in the past. That's late in the shot clock stuff where you get it in your star's hands and just let him come up with whatever you can come up with. That's when you need those, but that shouldn't be option A for him anymore because he can score in a million different ways. And like I said, getting to the basket, getting to his spots, passing and relocating and getting it in a better position, or just immediately pulling up and shooting is so much better than the wait, dribble stuff, which just isn't, it's not effective for him this year.
Yeah, and I think we've been trying to figure out the shooting numbers from three for Brown and Tatum all year. I don't know what's going on there. They're not great. I'd have to assume it's about pressure and pull up versus catch and shoot and the quality of looks that they're getting. But Brown's actually done a decent job pull up shooting. You're right. Tatum's way off this year with that, and I can't tell why because I don't think he's struggled in the past with that. In fact, that's been a deadly shot for him since he got on the map that 2020 stretch there in February against the Clippers and the rest of those teams. Just a deadly 3-point shooting, and that's always been something he's been able to lean on. This year, it's better mid-range, better basket finishing. It's free throws that are driving his offensive success. Him and Brown really haven't had that 3-point shot there from until tonight, or this afternoon rather, with 7 to 12 3-point shooting. So he answered. He answered your mid-game call there. Derek White too, who you want to stop shooting threes, had a solid game, 3 of
I
7
don't want him to
outside.
stop, but I do, like I said, I do think other teams look. It's not a matter of stop. It's that other teams want that shot from you.
And that did work in the second half, to be
And
fair.
it worked in the second half. And like I said, is you go back to Golden State game 1 as a great example. The Celtics went lights out. Derek White lost his mind shooting a bunch of threes. A lot of those were contested. They were really, really, really difficult shots. And Draymond said what he said after the game, like,
Remember the one over Curry?
yeah. Draymond said after the game, he's like, well, look at who's making the shots. And Celtics fans became all aggrieved and made a huge deal about it. And they were right.
Yep.
Like, that's not sustainable. That's what Golden State wanted
Already
them to
setting
do.
the table for Thursday.
Well, I mean, that they you know, and again, I know you tweeted about it. There are teams who can do what they do with Tatum and make things really hard on them. There are teams that can't. Obviously, Golden State has figured out how to really fluster and frustrate him with their ball pressure and what they're doing there because they pressure him, and then there's people waiting for him in the lane when he gets there. And he's had a really, really, really tough time, obviously, against them in the last few games dating back to the finals. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes there because you're probably not going to have the benefit of Jalen Brown to take some of the pressure off of it. So that's going to be a really interesting game. I think Tatum can't fall into that trap and just try to, do it by himself, but they are going to throw a lot of bodies at him, and they are going to try really hard to get the ball out of his hands or to get him to force tough shots or force it to those other kind of non-shooters. But White, the last 2 games, has been knocking down those shots. And as we said, Celtics knocked down a lot of those corner threes in the first half, and that was part of the reason that they were succeeding when Charlotte did put a lot of attention on Tatum.
Yeah, it's such a big game on Thursday, and you like having that Brooklyn game as a precursor to it. I thought coming out of that game that they guarded him pretty similar to how the Warriors would, and they made great reads out of it. And what you basically saw was them counteracting that Brooklyn defense with Claxton sitting in there with Simmons at the point of attack, the way you're going to want it, that Warriors defense, because we're all looking back on that game in December and how bad it looked, how frustrated the Celtics got out of that, and how it kind of sent them on a tailspin after that game for whatever reason. I don't know if it was because the Warriors put a good playbook out there for how the team should guard them. The Clippers certainly took advantage of it after. A number of teams after that, Orlando stacking the box. You've seen teams this year have success against the Celtics when they take the paint area away, and the Hornets are probably as poorly suited as anybody to do that. That's probably why you saw the doubling on the perimeter that you did in this game. There's just no rim protectors on that roster. So I love that this game's here. I love the possibility that they might have to do it without Brown, that you're going to have to see Tatum figure some things out here. Because, yeah, they're going to say it's 1 out of 82. You're going to say the Warriors, it's an uphill climb if they're going to make the finals again. So who even knows how impactful this matchup will be for them. But I think there's some value to figuring out this one thing that's sort of holding you back still in terms of settling, offensive inconsistency, ball movement, the different things you need to be successful against the great defenses in this league. Because when they've seen great defenses, John, like the elite of the elite, I wouldn't say they've gotten killed, but they've had issues.
Look,
They've had
everyone struggles against elite defenses. I mean, or everyone, that's just how it goes. It's going to be a slog, I mean, for Golden State, it wasn't easy to score on the Celtics, it's just their offense was able to do more than the Celtics offense was able to do. But you're talking about two defenses playing at an elite level last year, and Golden State, I think people forget, was the number one defense before injuries kind of took over there, and Draymond missed a bunch of games. And then when he came back, they were neck and neck with the Celtics just in terms of their defensive numbers. Two elite defensive teams, and Golden State was able to execute a little bit better on offense. That was the difference in that series. But it's hard for everybody. But you can't keep repeating the same mistakes. So it'll be super interesting to see there what goes on. Before we get full on into that, we will get into Golden State a little bit more for sure. And we're definitely going to talk about some more stuff from this game. We do want to tell you about a couple of our sponsors. We will start with HelloFresh, which Bobby, are you out of your first package? Are you going to reorder?
Yeah, I'm about to reorder. I blew through the first one. It didn't even take a week.
Yeah. So, again, for those who don't know, we are partnered with HelloFresh here in the Garden Report to start the season. We ask if you're interested in this kind of thing, please check it out. Please go to this website here, hellofresh.com/garden21 to capitalize on this terrific deal of 21 free meals and free shipping. And obviously, that's how they know we sent you. So if you are going to check it out. And please do that. And again, there's always a free prize involved when we do this as well. But just for those who don't know a lot about it, again, it's a meal service, like many others, but I mean, it's terrific in the sense that you can really customize exactly what it is you're looking for, and really get types of foods and the types of meals that would be a real pain in the butt to make on your own, because you have to go out. And the biggest bother for I cook a bit, Bobby, and I'm still, to make one dish, I got to go buy a whole bunch of cilantro or a whole bunch of parsley, and I only need a little of it. And the chance you're going to use it again before it goes bad is small. You get just what you need in all of this, pre-portioned, packaged, measured out, and all you have to do is follow a simple instruction card and get whatever you need here. You can customize it, get Bobby's basically a pescatarian here, so he always gets the fish. But you can get veggie.
I love the meatloaf too, though. I'll try a different box next time.
Meat, keto friendly, family friendly, whatever you want. You can really customize it. Tell them the types of things you eat, the types of things you don't eat, and they will set you up with some really delicious stuff. And again, the deal's amazing. 21 free meals and free shipping if you use that code Garden21 when you go to hellofresh.com/garden. And of course, anybody who subscribes, or supports any of our sponsors will get a
phenomenal t-shirt,
which is great. So please check that out if you're interested. As far as this game goes, Bobby, I do think Derek White, again, you're going to count on these guards a lot. Brogdon, obviously, who had 30 last game, had a fire first half, a little bit more quiet, missed some of his open shots in the second half. And then Brogdon was, and White had an outstanding game here. That's what you're going to need to carry you a little bit during this Brown absence.
Yeah, I thought his offensive rebound, when it got down to 5, I want to say. Yeah, I think it was 107, 101. He got a big offensive rebound after a couple missed shots from the perimeter, put it right back in. I love how flexible he is. This guy, he had a great screen in the first half. He can shoot. He doesn't have the best three-point shot, but there'll be games like this where he can give you a 3 of 7. He'll get to the free throw line, 8 assists, low turnovers, smart decisions. I love his game. We've talked about the shot blocking too, which was on display last week. He brings it all, and he's such a great glue guy for this team. They were looking for that last year. It didn't hit exactly the way I think they pictured it and how I imagined it going into the playoffs, and it felt like he just sort of leaned and labored over the shooting struggles that were hitting him. And we'd ask Ime again and again, like, all right, what's going on here? And he'd be like, oh, he brings a million different other things. Now you're actually seeing that in effect here with some good shooting in a game like this. He's aggressive. He's locked in. It's not always consistent with him. I think there are games where he'll sort of float and he'll grow uninvolved. You see the frustrated look on his face. But in a game like this, you're never going to lose when Derek White plays like this. I saw someone say on Twitter, like, he's sort of the barometer for the offense. He is, because if he's locked in and playmaking, and certainly you factor in the defense when he's out there too, They're unstoppable. Remember when he was
Yeah.
shooting 45% to start this year? That's what made them that historically great
Yes.
through the
And
roof
Horford, but
offense.
Horford hasn't come back down. That's what's amazing. Horford hasn't come down. Horford and Brogdon are like 4 and 5 in the NBA in percentage. They've stayed there. White came back down to earth. Smart came back down to earth, and Tatum and Brown have been subpar kind of throughout in terms of their shooting. Grant a little back down to earth, but not not as much as not as pronounced as White was. But you're right, everybody was hitting them. So that meant when you forced the ball out of Tatum's or Brown's hands to open shooters and they were moving the ball the way that they were, I mean, if the entire lineup is hitting at a four, and Hauser, obviously Hauser's another one that bottomed out. That's where they lost it, right? Those guys drop in efficiency is a little bit of kind of where they hit that bump offensively, and those numbers, which we knew were unsustainable, really cratered because everybody tanked at once there.
And he's back to 43% during this win streak from three
yeah,
on 4
yeah,
attempts a game, 47% from the field, 4 assists as a
yeah.
secondary playmaker, pretty good, and just
Much
one
better
turnover.
lately, but he had a 29 point, he had a 25% December or something. So obviously, I mean, like I said, that, like you said, that crashed them. And that was the reason why the offense tanked a little. They got used to it and it wasn't going the same way.
He's their top plus minus guy too in terms of like offensive defensive rating. There can be some noise there. I know he's starting, so that probably factors into it. He's not shuffling into those second units like other guys are, but still impressive. I feel like they're outscoring teams by about 12 points per 100 with him out there this year. So great fit. I still love the move. I think he's going to be a huge part of these lineups for a continued stretch here. The only question is what you do with him now once they're healthy, because it looks like Rob and Horford are going to be the starters now going forward. So that
And
displaces them.
they closed too. I was actually kind of wondering how they were going to go there right at the end. And Rob did come back in, and you had the option at that point. They were playing 3 guards with Al as a big and Tatum as a single big. And I don't think Joe liked it. I think he wanted the defensive pressure and the rebounding. And so he brought Rob back in, and he sat Brogdon, which I'm not going to argue because Smart made a couple of big plays down the stretch. But it is interesting that it does feel clearly that White and Smart are above Brogdon in the pecking order, and I don't know what it would take to change that.
It's a minutes thing. I don't think they want to crush Brogdon. That's all it really goes back to. And if you can get by without some of his minutes, they're going to try to.
I'm
I
just
think.
saying in the closing, I think it's always a choice there, and in
Yeah.
a lot of cases, that's the one that they go with.
Some of it's defense, right? Because Brogdon's been bad defensively
He
this
has
year.
been not great. I mean, White,
Yeah.
and also compared to, you can argue White's been better than Smart this year defensively. At least some of the metrics will tell you that.
Yeah, especially
Yeah,
in isolation.
yeah, in isolation, he's been playing. I saw the isolation numbers the other day. I think he was 4th in the league overall.
Yeah.
So he's been, and a point of attack numbers too. White's been ridiculous, and the opponent's shooting percentage against is unreal. So he's forcing people all the time into difficult shots, which is funny because you see teams hunt him on switches, and I always ask you, Bobby, like, what's going on there? Like, why are teams switching onto White? Is there a belief that he's there? Is it a height thing, a physicality thing, because Smart's a little bit bigger and stronger, and that they think they can get to their spot and shoot over the top of him? Sure, I can see why someone like Luka might, because he's got a little bit of height advantage. He likes to operate in the post, and you see some people doing it. But the numbers are staggering in terms of how he affects people there. And then Smart's, reigning defensive player of the year. So you're right. Even if Brogdon's playing league average defense for the position, it's still a drop off over those guys. And clearly at the end, Joe was favoring defense over offense with that lineup because he goes double big and brings in White.
Yeah, and I'm thrilled with it. I didn't think Joe would like the double big combinations, and it looks like he loves them. If he's searching for some Luke Al minutes out there, the numbers are in front of him. We know
Yep.
Joe's a numbers guy. He's got everyone in the back of his head. And what's surprising, too, he mentioned this number last week when I asked about the lineup, is they have like a 1.3 expected points per possession with that lineup out there, something like that. And that's ridiculous. That's a high number. Average is like 1, maybe a little lower. And, you're getting 1.3 points per possession with your bigs out there. He loves the spacing that they're able to produce, even without the amount of shooters that you'd have in that second unit. It's just interesting how it's going to stack up rotation wise once Brown gets back, because they've loved White with the starters and they've used him a ton there, and now he's going to have to reimagine his roles to some degree on that bench unit there. I wouldn't mind him having more ball time in the second unit. If you're able to get 8 assists from him, all the better. And then Brogdon's an off-ball guy. He can hit shots off the ball. So I think that might even benefit them.
And this is where it's going to get really super interesting around the trade deadline, because the reality is you have an embarrassment of riches at that position, and you have one school of thought that says just run it with the guys that you have and be happy that you have them. Or really, if the Celtics are going to improve in an area that they're weak in now, the only thing that you can do is look to trade one of these guys. And so selling high on somebody is not a bad thing. Everyone thinks anytime you mention somebody in trade discussions, the idea is that you don't like them or you don't want them anymore. No, that's not the point. Everybody has a price, right? And if you can package something with a draft pick or something that's going to get you an upgrade in talent, you're going to look to do it. That's the only place I think that the Celtics have any chance of really making a splashy move, is if they look to trade a core player. Grant's another person that's also a possibility, because it appears increasingly likely that they're not going to be able to keep him around. But again, those discussions I think we'll have more as we kind of get closer to February there. But I don't know. I mean, everyone's like, give me a name. I don't have a name, but I do know that if you had a chance to level up, the only way I think you do it is by trading one of the guards and another piece, to do that.
I think it's the picks. The picks is going to be the tricky thing, because of course they're a phenomenal team. So those are late round picks compared to coming into this year. I mean, it's still amazing to think we came into this year saying, I guess at the time that they made the Brogdon trade, you still thought that this team was going to be incredible this year. But then when the Rob thing happened and the Ime thing happened, you were like, oh, I don't know where this is going.
I know, but I mean, when you made the White pick, you were like, that pick was like 15 or 16. You know what I mean? It ended up being 31. That was risky. So obviously Brad's willing to do it. Yeah.
They're willing to do it. Yeah.
Because there was no guarantee there was a turnaround there. And even if there was, they didn't know if that was going to get them any higher than a 6 seed, honestly. But so where they got to was incredible.
Well, I like how they've done it. If we've had this pick discussion basically since the show started, and you've seen teams like Atlanta, Minnesota, Clippers, numerous ones trade all their picks for the Stars. The Celtics have done one at a time, essentially. And then they had the timing with the Kemba one where they could still trade the White one in season as they did. They've done it well. They've managed it well. Obviously, I would have stacked a ton together and just thrown them out the window, knowing how I am. But I like how they've done it here, because they still have other ones into the future that they can use this year, this offseason, based on if they need them. And I think with where they are, they will be aggressive with those. I can't see you moving a White. He's been too good. I can't see you moving a Grant, even with the uncertainty this offseason, because of how important he is to your rotation now. And even if this is just, call it a rental year with Grant, and he walks at the end of the year, you might get a championship out of it, which will be worth it, even if you don't recoup anything for him in the end. So I'm opposed to moving guys in the rotation. Sherrod and I had the conversation about Pritchard, Gallinari, and stacking lower guys on the roster. You can get to about $16 million in matching money with Jackson, Cornette, Pritchard, and Gallinari there. So that can get you a wide range of guys, and then you just fill the back end of the roster with whoever at that point. I don't suspect that they're going to be looking aggressively for moves heading into the deadline. I think they really like this roster, but there's possibilities there, and you do have to think about wing. I think when you have
that's the number one, considering Hauser clearly is not the guy.
It's a fine line though, because what's the trade-off between having Pritchard as a emergency point guard if one of your guards go down, or having a wing who you probably won't use?
I mean, he's not your emergency point guard. He's your emergency point guard. You have to break 2 panes of glass, two layers of glass to get to Pritchard. You've got 3 guards right now, and you do have some wing flexibility with Brogdon kind of stepping in the Jalen role, theoretically. So it is either just run it with this lineup and make the small tweaks, or if you're going to get splashy, as I said, I'm not advocating doing it. I'm saying that's their path to
You also have
something.
your TPE until Thursday, the big one.
Let,
I
yeah.
love how Jalen McDaniels. This is not a guy I thought about, but
Yeah, I know you mentioned
this
it here.
afternoon,
Yeah.
Jalen McDaniels looked like a guy who'd fit right in on this roster. Free agent this summer, $1.9 million. I'd keep an eye out for those guys because you have an open roster spot, right? You just absorb that money right into your TPE, so you don't have to even trade anybody, and then maybe you give up a first-round pick going back for him. I don't know if McDaniels is worth a first-round pick, but
No.
that's the most likely way I think they end up adding somebody is just absorbing someone right into that roster spot. We've talked about Javonte Green, who's obviously hurt now. We've talked about a bunch of people on small salaries that could just go right into that spot. The only problem is the tax multiplier is pretty significant, even for a $2 million guy at this point.
Totally. We're going to keep going a little bit. We want to tell you guys also about another one of our sponsors, Athletic Greens, which you should know about right now. They've been with us for several months and will continue to be so. Thanks to you guys, honestly, who have really been huge in supporting them. But for those, again, looking to kind of take control of your health here as the new year starts up, and we're talking about all sorts of things like boosting your immune system, your recovery time, your focus, energy, mental clarity, gut health, all of these things. That's what AG1 does by basically combining all of those individual supplements you're probably chasing around on a daily basis, having 12 bottles in your medicine cabinet and taking a bunch of different pills and supplements. Instead, it's just all in one. 75 minerals, vitamins, and a scoop of water. Just bang, you're done. Scoop of it, cup of water. Done for the day. It is, fits into any sort of diet. Doesn't matter what you're doing right now. There's virtually no sugar in it at all. Take it in the morning. It's extremely low calorie. And that's all you need for the rest of the day, honestly. It is endorsed by, celebrities, athletes, healthcare professionals, thousands of 5-star reviews. So again, time to unlock your health and take charge right now. athleticgreens.com/garden. If you go there right now, once again, athleticgreens.com/garden, free 1-year supply of vitamin D, 5 free travel packs for your first purchase. And as always, you get a phenomenal t-shirt if you notify us of the sale. We have a form that is in the show's description. You can fill out, put in a copy of your receipt, your address, your shirt size, your full name, and we will send you a phenomenal t-shirt. Bobby, I wanted to talk about Mr. 20 million, Grant Williams. Not a great Grant game. There's been a few not great Grant games, but again, he filled it up in different ways here with the assists and the rebounds.
Yeah, first half he did some work outside of the scoring, and then second half waned a little bit. I didn't love the defense of that second unit in the second half. I thought they gave up quite a bit of that margin when it was at 16, got back to 8. He's having a tough time getting those shots off in the corner, isn't he? He has to pretty much up fake and drive every time on those now at this point. And he can get those shots off in the lane there. He's been working on that a ton. I just sent that card, by the way.
Okay, yeah, Sherrod might join us. Sorry,
But,
I'm just seeing this now.
But
I'm playing a road game, Bobby. I'm not on my computer, so I don't have anything loaded up here.
Yeah, so Sherrod will be joining us in a minute.
All right, cool.
I think Grant worked around some struggles in this game shooting wise, and I love that he's able to do that now. He can be active defensively as he is, and his passing game's reached a new level, which is why I think teams look at this guy and they're gonna say, all right, there's some upside here. You can morph this guy's game with more ball time and a bigger role into something better.
Can you? I mean, again, let's be serious.
Compare this to last year at this time. He's a
fine.
much better player.
He's fine. Everybody likes Grant. I don't know if everyone likes Grant at 20 million. It's the only conversation people have. And every time he does what he does, I mean, he is without question the 8th best player on the Celtics, right? He's in your 5 to 8 man rotation. He's number 8. He's a starter maybe on some teams, but I don't know if necessarily contending teams. This is what he is. The thing with Grant is there's too many on-off games, right? There's games where you're like, wow, he did nothing today with his minutes. And there's games where he does a lot with his minutes. You're going to pay money
because
to somebody.
of him though, or his role?
I don't know. I think his role's pretty consistent. I think he gets plenty of run with the starters. I think he gets, I think he's in there in the same thing. It's not like they're jerking him around. He's getting his opportunities. He's in there every single night. He's playing a career high in minutes. This is just what you get.
Yeah, it's a tough call, and I might be, as we talked about last night, $4 or $5 million off, like I was with Tice there. But I think there will be a let's say $14-15 million offer there at the very least for him. I just think there's money out there. I think he's young. I think defensively and 3-pointers, that's what everybody's looking for. Plus you add in all the extra stuff you saw tonight. Offensive rebound, he's doing a better job with that. Shot blocking, making himself active defensively, and being able to move with a bunch of different positions.
But I
it's
mean,
so valuable.
I mean, Bobby, we're talking the last 2 years.
Not everybody has Rob and Al, John.
No, I know, but I mean, again, it's an undersized big, a 3-and-D guy who can't really necessarily lock. He's not going to lock up athletic wings. He's a guy you can plug and play in a lot of places when you have a lot of other stuff going for it. But if you went out there and started Grant at your 4 or your 3 every single night, the expectations would be a lot higher for him to be able to deliver on a nightly basis. So again, I'm not, I love Grant. In terms of like what he does for the team, but I just don't know. I don't know what his value is outside of the market. My prediction is not that they move on for him. My prediction is that the money isn't there, and he does resign for something. That he does resign for something.
I think we're right on that line right now, right?
I think he comes back. I think he realizes the best place for me is here, and I don't believe that it's going to be a blow you away offer. If 20 million comes calling somewhere else, obviously he takes that. But is he going to go somewhere else and languish and have people be mad that he was the big splashy move that some team made for 16 million versus coming here for 14? I don't think so. I think he stays in Boston, honestly.
He does seem to love it here, and I think he's built a role that I don't know. Will the guys on the roster vouch for him this offseason? Is this a guy that Tatum's going to go to the front office and be like, just do what it takes? We need this guy. I think that's a factor there too. Like I wonder how endeared he is with the teammates at this point. We know that they obviously give him a bunch of crap, but it does seem like Tatum really likes him, and he's a valuable outlet for Tatum as well. So that market number is going to be super important because you have to pay Brown. You have to pay Brown here.
This comment is kind of
This
comment is kind of the point I'm making. He's the Celtics' 8th best player because it's a really good team. Some other team is going to sign. So are the Celtics going to pay 20 million to their 8th best player, which is a lot of money, or is some other team going to do it and want Grant to be their 3rd or 4th best player and then realize that's not what he is? He's not. He's a good rotational player. I think, like I said, a fringe starter or somebody who can come in off the bench and make contributions. Grant's that. I love having a Grant Williams type guy. A team goes out there, throws a ton of money at him. I think the fan base is going to be disappointed.
You could sign worse guys though if you're Detroit, if you're in Orlando, and you have that cap to spend, or you're just kicking it on to next year.
Use it or lose it, right? Or just kick it forward. But that kind of becomes the thing: is what do you want to do? That's the whole thing. Do you want to spend that money there, or do you want to kick it forward and wait for a better, better opportunity? I never know.
I think he's right on that line.
He is.
He seems to be that guy that a Charlotte, even him being from Charlotte, could say, this is going to be our staple culture guy, and
I don't think he's going anywhere.
We're gonna sign him as. It depends, John, right? Because you talk 13, 14. Is that, does he take $1 million or $2 million less to stay with the Celtics? I could see it. But if it shoots toward 20, and a lot of it's going to be his late season performance, right? And his playoff performance again, you're going to, I think, have a higher number. I think we're always surprised by the free agents numbers at this point. Plus you have a cap spike coming potentially in the next couple of years here. So I don't know. Again, I know I came in hot in the summer and said 20. I've come down, and at this point, I'd be surprised if he got that. But I still think there's going to be.
I'm surprised if he gets it from anywhere. And I think the biggest number, the biggest offer sheet could come in at around 17. So we'll see.
Well, we know the Celtics have a line, right? They probably would have loved to have gotten this done, and they did.
Theirs was 12.5, right?
The report was 12-13, right? And then he was up at like 18-20. So they were far apart, it seemed like. But I heard that there was a lot of optimism at the end that they were going to get it done, and they're actually kind of surprised that it didn't end up getting done there. So we'll see. It's a very challenging one because, like I said, you got to sign Brown, and that's just an enormous tax bombshell. You're gonna have Tatum coming on again at $300 million in the next couple of years.
This conversation is similar to many that we've had and will continue to have. And I don't want to say like bad game, Grant's not worth it, good game, he's worth it, because it's a ridiculous cycle to kind of keep doing it, just wait for the bad game to trash him and wait for the good game to say he's worth it. My question is there anything about his game that's changed? Because changed for you where he's been a little bit less effective this month. Obviously the 3-point percentage is down, but I do wonder whether some of the stuff that he did early in the season that we tabbed as an improvement, like up faking, relocating, step, hitting those above the break threes where he'd be able to get guys attacking closeouts, things like that. He going to the basket a little bit more, getting some floaters to go down. Some of that stuff was working early in the season, and it looked like an evolution to Grant's game. That stuff's not working as well as it was now. And you do wonder, is he best just kind of camping out in that corner and waiting for things to develop? Or do you like the Grant that is trying to beat you and score in more ways? Obviously, he had that embarrassing 3 the other night where he tries to pull a Tatum in the step back and airballed it by like 11 feet. Like, there are limitations to his game. You want to see him expand on that, but his best role might just be kind of wait for it, sit in that corner and just bang those things down, because he's freaking deadly from there.
Yeah, and he goes 2 of 4 from 3 in this one and 1 of 8 inside the arc. It's crazy looking at his shot chart. Once he got driven out of the corner, which he does, you see it in this game, and often the teams take him right out of there. He does lift up fake and going in the lane. You watch that on film and you're an opposing team, you're going to say, let's just get him on the roll. Even if he's able to make a good pass out of there, and he did in this game, you feel much better about that than giving up the open 3, because you're just so good out there at this point.
And that's how you're going to do. I think teams are going to make guys and teams will keep doing that to the Celtics. You'll keep doing that. You'll keep trying to make Grant beat you, doing things like that. You're going to attack that corner. You're not going to let him get in his comfort zone. You'll do it to White as well.
That's what the Warriors did. To go back to that again, they switched everything out there. So you were always going to have a guy in front of them. You didn't have guys getting lost in the corner there off some of those off-ball actions to try to free him up. And that can negate him fairly easily. I think at this point with Horford too, that happens to him. It's tougher with ball handlers like Brogdon and White because they can get downhill and make stuff happen there better than some of these big guys can. So I am intrigued by how much he plays against a Golden State or even a Brooklyn. What do you end up doing in that Brooklyn game? Because like I said, they ended up playing a similar style to the one you'll see from the Warriors on Friday. He goes 4 of 8 in that game.
The Brooklyn game was a little quiet, but yeah, he didn't. He was fine.
There's a defensive formula to take the 3-point away from him, and you can do it fairly easily if you have the right switching personnel out there. And this is why we've seen him experiment so much in games like tonight, is to try to figure out ways to stay on the court in games like those. He was despondent after the finals. Like he admitted it. He got made unplayable.
Until he got to Draymond's wedding, and then everything was fine.
Yeah. So. There's a reason he's doing what he's doing now. I think you'll deal with what a game like this brings because of the fact that you want him to be able to be involved in a postseason series. He's, what do you call him, your 8th best player?
Yeah.
I guess it kind of depends on how good Al is, because Al can reach a top 5 level on this team.
Al's so valuable.
At times. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with him. I don't want to say he's expendable, but it will reach a price where I think they walk away.
He's not expendable, but all of the 7 other guys make money. Rob is the cheapest one, obviously, at only like 12 or 13 per because of that sweetheart extension that they signed him to. But you're looking at 17, 18, 19, 20, between Brogdon, Smart, and White. And then Al, a manageable number to kind of break up what he was due there. And then Tatum and Brown are going to get the bags. So it's hard. Again, you see what happened to Golden State. There's guys they couldn't hold on to. They would have been better with Peyton and Porter if they were able to hold on to those guys. And they didn't go out and sign huge deals, but at some point it's like, I can't pay everybody a big league salary. I need some cheap.
Those guys.
I need some cheap guys on my team.
Yeah. I think the greater lesson from the Warriors is how hard it is to replace those guys with young guys. And that's where the Celtics are at.
That's exactly it.
They don't have picks. Hauser, you're seeing the limitations of him. I'm sure part of the idea of bringing him up and developing him was probably Grant Insurance to some degree. You got to think Gallinari in that camp too. So it's hard. You develop a guy like this since 2020. Think of how far Grant's come from that bubble where he was basically just kind of like a scrappy rebounder, defender, small ball 5. Now he's this modern 3-and-D guy. It took 4 years. If you're going to let that go and restart with a young guy, you might be surprised by how it goes there. And, you could always go out and re-sign or trade for somebody else in that spot and try to shuffle the deck a little bit. But it's tough. You know what you have in Grant. I think that's why you keep him for the rest of the year. If he walks, he walks. And if you have a championship out of it, you'll, give him that ring when he comes back and be thrilled with the result here. So I'm not considering trading him. I don't think there's a return that would make sense.
Most likely not. That's the thing is like, what team, if you're trading a guy like Grant to a team, that team is contending and looking for a Grant type player, which means they're not giving you anything of value in return. So that's the problem is I don't know that you can get it. You're only talking about rolling up like, pardon me, Bobby, rolling up Grant, you like assets, call Grant an asset, a younger, more affordable guy that a team can hang on to, plus one of those guards who's a ready-made player, plus picks up for, somebody that another team doesn't want to hang on to or whatever. It's really hard. It's really hard to make something fit. It's less about the players and more about finding the right partners who need the right sorts of thing. The reason the Celtics can't trade is they're just not flush with assets and guys that they can't play and get rid of and try to roll them up into talent. Right now, they need everybody that they have and probably won't be able to trade them to other teams for that very reason. So we're hoping to welcome both Sherrod and Josue, if you put him, I call him Sherrod, onto the show. So we're going to hang on a little bit and see if those guys can make it. In the meantime, yes, we are flush with sponsors. That's largely due to you guys for supporting them. So we do appreciate that, but we want to take a brief pause, tell you about Rocket Money. Terrific way to save a lot of money. And Bobby, I'm going to have a coughing fit. You want to fudge through this one a little?
Yeah, I love this app. This is one I've always heard about. I think it was called Truebill before, right? You had a lot of financial management tools in there. See what's going in and out of your account. The big things, subscriptions. You sign up for them. You either forget about them over time. The money increases. Things change, especially with inflation and all that. These prices are going up on these subscriptions. So you need your money more than ever. These companies are trying to take more money than ever, and with this app, you're going to be able to see what's coming in your account each month, what's coming out, especially when it comes to those subscriptions. And you could save hundreds in some cases by either unsubscribing, which you can do right in the app, or just getting smaller potential deals when you threaten to unsubscribe, which happens in more cases than you think. You'll be surprised
twice
sometimes.
to me. Yeah. And again, the thing that you get surprised by, I signed up for something that was $9 a month. When I went to look at it, I hadn't looked at it in a year or two. It was $27 a month. I had no idea. I went to cancel.
And that's what over the year? Hundreds.
That alone. I mean, unbelievable what that saved me. And I went to cancel and they gave me a year at $8 a month to keep me. So saved a ton of money on that one alone. It's $20 a month, or, over 12. That's hundreds on one subscription. It's an insane amount of money. I no joke, Bobby. I saved like $400 or $500 by using this app. So again, check it out. And again, we ask you, if you are going to use this and you do get a paid subscription, go to rocketmoney.com/garden and, that way they know we sent you as opposed to just straight up Rocket Money. It's really important. And if you do that, like with everything else, bang, you get a free subscription. Bobby, somebody's here. Can you let them in?
Doesn't look like he's ready yet, but I will when I see him. Okay, there he is.
Once again, I'm struggling a little bit with my, there it is, with my computer. What's up, Sherrod?
What's up, guys? What's going on?
Nothing. Where's Grant Williams?
Grant is gallivanting on doing whatever Grant Williams does after a game which he scores, 9 points on 3 for 12 shooting, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 fouls.
But last time we were in Charlotte,
he was right next to me.
There was a Grant Williams party, and he was right there, and he did make a little appearance with Sherrod. and he came in, and Jimmy was like, "Hi, Grant, I love you."
I love
No.
Grant. We were gonna get Grant on the Garden Report over the summer after I hit the 3 there at his camp, and I wasn't getting a response, and I was like, "What's going?" Like, I thought he was gonna come on, and then a week later, the coach got suspended. So I was like, "All right, I understand why he didn't come
Now
on."
we know.
Well,
Sherrod,
hopefully, at one point he will come on.
Had some pressing matters.
Sherrod,
Yeah.
take it in any direction you want. I'm not sure if you were talking to some people, you have any new info, anything about the game, but anything on your mind right now?
No, I think the biggest thing, and you guys, I'm pretty sure have hit on this, was just the dominance and ease in which Tatum got what he wanted against the Charlotte defense. Even when they defended him well in this game, he was still getting what he wants. And when he was close to the 50-point mark, I asked him about just how aware he was of being that close, and he was very aware. He talked about when they played Miami earlier this year when he had 49 and there were about 50 seconds left, and he just kind of waved the guys off from getting in the ball. Hell no, not tonight.
Yeah.
He said he got a call from Jamal Crawford basically saying, "Don't you get that damn close and not go for 50 because no one is going to remember time and score." And so what did he? What
did we not get really mad when Booker did it? Did everybody in Celtics
I did.
world?
I did not get mad when Booker did it because Booker. Look,
I did. Yeah.
Hell no. There are listen in the NBA. There are certain milestones statistically that they just stand out from anything and everything else that you do. They're going to be the things that when people go down your resume, they're going to more likely to not mention them or at least allude to you having those type of games. 49 and 50. See, there's only 1 point difference. But
this is totally different from the Booker
I
thing.
know the differences with the Booker. I don't need people saying it. I know it's not the same. Booker,
I absolutely
that
co-sign
Booker
on
thing
Booker
was the
doing
most
that.
ridiculous thing I
Booker
ever
chased
saw.
it for a quarter
Half a
and a
quarter,
half.
yeah.
It was ridiculous. The Booker thing was on a different level.
It was because Booker, yeah, I mean, he was
But
point
when the
sniffing
game is over,
right.
the reason he didn't do it in Miami, Sherrod, was the game was ridiculously obviously over. It's very poor taste to be hunting for that milestone late. In this one, they went for it. I was actually surprised. It doesn't offend me. I just know unwritten rules sort of stuff that some people do it, some don't. I'm not sitting here saying, what a disgrace. I just know that some people find that stuff like, okay,
yeah.
Who cares if the Hornets file something away against you? That's not going to come back and bite you in the ass. So,
right.
It's not like, oh, Charlotte's going to remember this next time. Who cares? That's not the issue. But some people just choose not to do it because they view it as disrespectful. Some people go for it.
Yeah, and I had no issues with it at all because, again, the way this game was going, I mean, remember, he had like 20 at the half. So for him to finish with 50, it wasn't as if he had this barrage of points in the second half and was, basically hunting down shots. Because remember, you look at his final stat line, he still wound up with 5 assists, 8, 9 rebounds. It wasn't as if he was just ball hogging.
It was more natural. Everything he got up until 51 was in the flow of the game. They went to him. He hit his buckets late, and he's the one that put it away. The last 3 was the only superfluous one where they didn't really need it. They could have just run out the clock or whatever. And he was like, everyone was like, I'll put it this way. I like theater. I like the moment. I would have been, given the circumstances of this one with that many Celtics fans in Charlotte and the fact that they knew it the possession before. And as soon as that rebound came off the rim and the ball got in Tatum's hands, the entire arena knew what was happening. You kind of got to answer that bell, right?
And
you're putting on a show at that point, and it is entertainment. I would have been hugely disappointed if he didn't go for it because the moment called for it.
Well, the funny thing was after Al got the rebound, he looked over to Marcus, and Marcus was like, "No, you swing it to that dude on the other side." And Al just kind of looked at Marcus, and he looked over at Tatum. Tatum, you got the ball. Finish it. And they knew what they was doing. They knew what they were kind of felt. You know what? Go get it. Get your 50-piece. We're not going to win this game regardless. That 3 points is not going to make or break our season. We're not going to get pissed. It is what it
fine.
is.
They needed it. They had fun tonight, which they haven't always had in games like these. And it stems from Tatum. We talk about this all the time. They follow Tatum's lead. They do. And he played with urgency and worked hard to get good shots in this game, and everybody fell in line. So when this team struggles, I think we've seen enough. Forget the coach, forget Marcus, forget all these other guys down the line. Tatum's the leader on this team, and everybody's following his lead. So if he shows up and just rolls his eyes and sleepwalks through the first quarter, it's on him. Unfortunately, in this first half, he set a great tone. They slipped a little bit out of halftime, and then they got right back on their horse and rolled to another easy 120 against a bad team here. So this was a good taking care of business miniseries, and Tatum did a great job playing without Brown. Getting guys involved and taking control of these games offensively. He's been in a great place lately.
And that was one of the things Tatum talked about post-game about, because I asked him about just, whether this was a good, almost like litmus test for a playoff type series that you're going to go through. And he talked about how, they lost both the games with Orlando. They split when they did this with Miami, and they really wanted to come and play a team and win both of those games.
And Charlotte pushed them tonight. They did.
Yeah. Charlotte played a much better game tonight than they did in game one, I thought. I thought there was a greater sense of urgency. They seemed to be a little bit more locked into details. But this is what happens when you're a better team. What the opponent does, if you play close to your potential and they play close to their potential, as I thought Charlotte did, this is what happens. You lose by like 10, 15 points. I thought this was the kind of game that if they're going to have that kind of deep playoff run that they talk about, want to have, they're going to have to play with this type of approach.
31.1 points per game for Tatum now, past the halfway mark. That's this stuff Dwayne Wade did, and Kobe and Durant certainly. It's amazing seeing him get to this point. John, you've talked about him being able to score 30, showing up. He's done it lately, and
he rolled out of bed in the first half and had 20. He wasn't even going hard. He was just going.
He had a bad 31-point game the night Jalen got hurt.
Right.
That was not a great game. He was on the whole, like, he didn't play great that game at all. 31. That's the difference. Sorry, guys. Last year, he could get taken out of some games. He had, if you counted, I do this exercise. Go through box scores game by game, and there's more to a game than a box score, and we all watch them, and we know there's quite a few of those games where his contributions probably were greater than what showed up. But there's also probably some games where the box score looks a little juicy and they weren't as good as that, so they balance out. You can probably count 20-something games last year. And what did they play? Only 72 last year? I forget.
No, last year was a normal one.
Last year was a normal slate. You can count 22, 23 games that Tatum had awful overall performances where he didn't score high, shot very low percentage, had a bunch of turnovers. Just that's your best player almost not showing up for close to a third of your games. It's a big number. That's not happening at all this year. The duds are very few and far between, and even the bad games, he muscles his way to 24, 26, even on an off night, and 31 the other night. So, and then, as you guys said, he just rolls out of bed, and you're like, he's got 20? How's he got friggin' 20? Let's bring in Josue, also in Charlotte, doing some work, post-game locker room. Anything to report coming out of the post-game, Josue?
Just a lot of people giving Jason Tatum his flowers, and of course, rightfully so. And a lot of them saying the same things that they've been saying the last couple of days, or what Joe Mazzulla's been saying, is that just his mature, like how he's evolved as a scorer and reading opposing defenses, but also finding ways to get the team involved. And the team, you got Jason Tatum, he doesn't get 51 without help from his guys, whether it was the give and goes, whether it was, guys finding him, the backdoor cuts, there wasn't a lot of ISO out there. So I felt like that's what made this one so impressive. And of course, the fact that he did it against the same team after dropping 33 on them 2 nights ago. I just think it's impressive stuff. Like that in itself isn't easy, But yeah, Derek White saying the same thing, that Joe Mazzulla's been saying about that. And of course, Malcolm Brogdon and all these guys, they're just impressed. It's shown throughout, pretty much since the new year. But Tatum's taking things to another level, and I don't think he's going to cool down anytime soon.
Yeah, my biggest. Go ahead.
I just want to know what kind of music Josue is getting into there. It sounds
mostly country, but they just got a blast in this right now.
Oh my goodness, it's a matinee. It's Charlotte, and I'm sure there's family and kids, and obviously MLK
this is like
stuff.
Some of their bigger sponsors doing like a company outing thing for sure. But yeah. pretty much the same thing.
7 to 10 night for Tatum at the rim. Yeah, he gets it in different ways. And we compare it to 2 years ago. We never imagined him setting screens, cutting, rolling. This roll game he has, where'd that come from? I feel like if he did that once in 2021, we would have did a whole show on it. Now he does it every night. He's just so active off the ball.
You know what it is, Bobby? I think he again, as he gets older and more mature, he's understanding that if you want to be one of the great ones, you three-trick pony. You've got to find multitude of ways to impact the game as a scorer. Whether it's knocking down threes, the mid-range, driving to the rim, rolling to the basket, doing things that forces defense to have to expand their game plan to try and stop you. Tatum at this point is one of the toughest guys, the ability to score in a multitude of ways, and he's only adding to that playbook. One of the things he's doing this year that I don't believe he's done nearly as much in the past as he's doing now is finishing at the rim with his left. That
before it was
the
righty,
it was
the righty scoop.
Yep.
Without playing through contact, falling away from the basket. And so many of those would result in him falling out of the play and then not getting back on D. How many of those in tight misses would he get just like that where he wouldn't? But you're right. Finishing left, going left, finishing left. Teams were forcing him heavy that way. Finishing through contact, finishing stronger. Yeah.
And because he's got a good handle, you have to respect him straight up. You can't lean left or right. And that's where he's got you. Because at that point, he knows I just got to give you a hizzy, a fake, whatever to get to where I want to get to. And I can fish with either hand. And that, again, when you got a guy who can finish with either hand and he can shoot the mid-range and he can shoot threes from the corner wing. And he makes his free throws. Tonight he was, 14 for 14? This is if you want to be in the conversation as an MVP candidate, you have to do these type of things. You have to show that you are having a special kind of season. Your team is having a special kind of season. And Tatum is putting himself and the Celtics on that path with his play.
And one thing I mentioned it earlier in the show, one thing I love, and you saw a few of them tonight, is catching the ball in the low block or the post, in that, and immediately attacking before anybody has a chance to come over there. And that's where I love where he'll pass and get to a better spot. When he does that, it's an automatic bucket. The least effective Tatum is the hold the ball, top of the key, everybody standing around, and just waiting, and the defense knowing that you're coming.
And that can happen late in games.
And that happens. And you've had the offensive slowdown some games, actually around the 3-4 minute mark. I was afraid it was going to happen to them here. It just didn't matter because he hit those pull-up threes late in the game that sometimes he misses. But that's the one that is easier to defend. Teams would rather see him coming, be able to send the double, and just have everybody standing with no movement in the corner. When he's moving or when he's catching the ball different places or when he caught it a couple times down low, friggin' lights out, man. But by the time he gets it and goes, you're already dead at that point. And so that's what I want to see.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bobby.
I was going to say, I like the chatter here saying that I definitely think this is the case too. I haven't talked to him about it, but he definitely pulled from Curry being in a full finals with him. It makes a lot of sense. It's a lot of the similar stuff that Curry does. And it's what made Curry great compared to some of the other guys who want to line up guys one-on-one and play isolation all game.
Make them give you the ball there. Like if you work and you get to a better position, like we've all played shitty pickup ball. It's just capitulation when you just give it to the ball at the top of the key and everybody gets out of the way. And you're like, all right, I guess go to work. You're like, I give up on this possession. You go do everything. But when a guy's flashing and moving and you're like, oh, right there's good. Get me the ball. That's what you want to get it. And when he is working to get to those spots and moving around there, it's just so much better. Just the whole offense, off-ball movement, good. Is standing around and letting one guy cook bad. It's so clear. Even when it's Tatum, you'd rather see the movement. You'd rather see a way to get him the ball somewhere else.
Well, we saw so much of that. Remember, like 2 years ago, or even in the bubble, and it was like, man, it was great when it worked, but when he was ice cold, he wasn't doing the team any favors, right? He's not getting other guys going. They can't help him. The you go, then I go thing with Jalen. It was just getting out of those habits took a while. And seeing them just evolve, obviously Jalen's not in this one, but Tatum as well. I mean, again, it's a testament to what this team has been doing to not only help Tatum get going, but it's the same thing vice versa.
Well, they're at a point now where I think that when you have Tatum and Brown, I think to a lesser degree, when they're on the floor, it's not about hunting matchups. It's about hunting spots on the floor. That's where they're at now, getting to the spots where they can be most impactful and dealing with a guy like Jason Tatum when he's setting down screens, when he's running along the baseline, when he's popping out to the corner, when he's popping up top of the key with the ball in hand, looking to do something. All that movement just absolutely puts a tremendous amount of stress on a team defensively over the course of the game. And it's going to inevitably lead to him getting easy, wide open, lightly contested shots because he's going to make the defense as a group work so damn hard. I thought Charlotte, they did a good job, I thought, of just trying to throw him off with double teams and blitzes and things like that. And Tatum handled all of that with absolutely flawless perfection. When they blitzed, he got rid of it quickly. When they tilted, he waited just long enough to see what they were going to do. And if they didn't do anything, he just attacked the matchup, which more times than not, he had the advantage of. Even when they did a good job defensively, because I thought the Daniels kid, McDaniels, I thought he had a number of possessions where I thought he was exactly where you're supposed to be defensively. Tatum
He
still made
guarded
those
Tatum
shots.
tough.
Yeah,
He did.
yeah. And Tatum still made those shots. And Tatum talked a little bit about that in the postgame about how, he liked his competitiveness. He liked his toughness. And I think
that performance
Tatum,
caught my eye,
if we're
Sherrod.
being honest, and that's what your great players are supposed to do. You're supposed to see those matchups, see those competitions, make the most of them. But at the same time, again, you're not hunting to get that guy off of you. You're just simply hunting for your spots on the floor. You're not allowing that defense to dictate how you're going to play. You are going to play your way, get to where you need to get to, regardless of what they're
Jalen McDaniels was tough on him, second quarter especially. Forcing turnovers, a few there, playing around the screens, fronting Tatum with great size. He's 6'9". I didn't realize that. I know his brother's great in Minnesota, but he's this guy sort of floated under the radar. I know this is classic Sherrod. Just I saw this guy play good tonight. I'd love the Celtics to get him, but I'd keep an eye on him. $1.9 million. I don't know if he caught their eye.
What incentive could
today with
Charlotte
some of the
possibly
things.
have to move
That's
him?
exactly what I was about to
What
say. They're
incentive?
not trying to let that dude go, man.
There's no way in hell they're going to let him go unless you're talking about you want to trade him for Tatum? Okay. You want to trade him for Jalen? Okay. It's not going to. Jalen McDaniels, to me, he's a guy that is. He's just too valuable to keep around than he would be to move. It just doesn't make sense.
It's like trading Mo Brown. You just don't do that, right?
Mo Brown reference. Wow.
Well, because Sherrod and I were like, why would you trade a cheap 7'2" guy? Why would you give him away? He's a cheap 7-footer under contract.
And now you want Josh Richardson back.
I want him back. I want Mo Brown.
I don't.
I think we could do Mo Brown right. Any other thoughts from this game? If not, let's move on to Golden State.
Yeah.
And give a quick little preview here. And we got a nice little break. I can get the pipes back in order here.
We should have some practices this week, though.
Battling
Warriors
a little cold.
Practice Tuesday, Celtics Wednesday.
We'll get a chance to talk to those guys. I think we might even do a Twitter Spaces on Wednesday as a Golden State preview. For those of you guys out there, follow us at Celtic. Follow us, Celtic CLNS. We'll send out a notification, but I think we might do an evening Spaces where we get to chat with you guys, which we love doing. We don't get to do often enough. We used to do it a ton. So look forward for that notification. But Golden State has everybody right now, and the Celtics, I think, will still be without Jalen Brown. So this is a bummer.
We'll see. They said a week on Brown.
Week to 2. You really want the revenge tour to begin tonight. I mean, on Thursday night. So you would love to have Jalen back there, and you'd love to go full tilt. And we know Golden State, completely different team, home and away. But most often from the Celtics, I really think they need to exercise this demon.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. I think that, there's certain teams that you really need to get them out of your heads. And the best way to do that is to beat them on your own floor. And, the Celtics come into this game with momentum around, but you've got a lot of different role players who are stepping up and making the most of their opportunities. We saw Malcolm Brogdon play what we all, I think, should feel like, or Malcolm Brogdon-like minutes, where he played 30-plus minutes and had 30 points. Tonight, Malcolm played just over 27, which, again, I'm cool with high 20s, low 30s for Malcolm at this point in the season because, I think he can be a very impactful player in that amount of time. But if he's playing like barely 20 minutes, that's not enough for a guy that can be such a difference maker like he can. I'm curious to see how Rob Williams plays against Golden State because I think because these last couple of games, and again, you guys check me on this if you think I'm wrong, but it felt as though they were making a more conscious effort to find ways to get Rob the ball offensively.
But he won't do anything with it.
I know.
Twice in the first quarter, one resulting in a turnover. Where he caught it in a position where he should have squared or turned or done something, and he just fired it right back, I think, off of Derek White's head for a turnover, and another one down low where he has to just dribble and up with it, little baby hook. These are bunnies for him. Like, they're giving it to him there for a reason, and he's not doing anything with it. He's not even thinking about shooting, and I am curious what happened. I'm curious if somebody grabs him and kind of shakes him and says, and right. Bobby pointed a time where Marcus said, like, dude, go up with that. He's got to start to go up with some of those balls when he catches it down, deep.
Yeah. I mean, he's too good a finisher at the rim, plays way too exceptional above the rim to not take advantage of that, particularly when you're dealing with teams that can't jump with you.
And he's quick as hell. If he up fakes once and puts it down, he's just going to dunk 100 times. If he catches on that low block, you're not talking about bodying a big and working for position to get a hook shot. Just go, man. He's so athletic. He can get a wide open shot there if he wants with just the teeniest bit of movement. He's too athletic for guys to cover down there. He gets it with only one guy on him. Get up with that ball.
By the way, you're right, Sherrod. 27 touches this season for him a game. He's up to 33 during this win streak. I don't have the numbers on today, but it felt like he had quite a few more again.
Yeah, and they're not just coming on him grabbing an offensive rebound and things like that. It's actually they're throwing him the rock and just kind of almost spacing out, and he typically kicks it back out to whoever's on the wing. Yeah. But again, it's encouraging that they're even throwing him the ball because that to me that's moving the mile marker in the right direction. Next step for him is to do something when he has the ball other than pass it out.
Yeah.
I would like you guys, those guys in and around the team, particularly if there's practice, that'd be something I'd be interested in you guys asking Joe about. Just kind of like trying to get Rob more involved offensively in things that don't just revolve around catching lobs or dumping it off down low on a drive and dish sort of scenario when he's completely uncontested. Obviously, he knows how to dunk with 0 people on him and how to go up and over people, but there's got to be more to his game at this point where they would entrust him with, which is, yeah, man, even it's still high percentage. Like, yeah, maybe you won't be shooting 84% if you actually do shoot with a defender near you, but he's still going to drop a few. I mean, it's still a really good offensive opportunity that I think they're passing up when he's kicking it way too quickly to people who aren't in as good position to score.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's it.
Yeah, he's just bottom line. He's just got to make better use of the opportunities he gets offensively. It's that simple. Because he's
the passes are good at least. At least when he's throwing out of the middle, he's finding guys. They're good looks. The vision's crazy.
But he's always been able to do that though. Yeah. And to me, it's about like advancing yourself and advancing the team you've been doing since you were a rookie. Give me something more. And it's not even a question of whether he has the ability, because what we're talking about are things that are literally strengths of his. The ability to get off the ground quickly, touch around the rim. Those are things that he has statistically, and if you take the eye test, are very much in his wheelhouse.
And a couple things he does better than I think people give credit for. And we're not talking about like, consistently trying to take guys off the dribble. He does not have a bad handle. He can put the ball on the floor, and he does not have an ugly looking shot as you can see with his free throws. There was a point in time where it looked like he might start working on that 10, 12, 14 footer. And it won't even cross
we've talked about it, John.
It doesn't even cross his mind now.
His mindset's complimentary. He doesn't want to do too much. I think he feels like he's out there to help and support.
But it would be better for them if he did, because right now nobody is counting on it. You don't have to put any sort of pressure on Rob when he gets the ball. And it's just, if you create another avenue for offense on this team that other teams have to worry about and game plan against or just kind of be cognizant of, it just frees everybody else up to do more stuff when he's out there. There's pressure on the defense because of the lob threat at all times that they have to worry about, but that's it. And teammates are going to stop giving it to him because there are some times where like he's getting the ball with the idea that like now you shoot and he doesn't. And it's like, well, I'm not going to give it to you next time if you're not going to take advantage of that opportunity, because this was the pass that was supposed to result in a shot. And we're kind of right back where we started, trying to cycle through our offense, figuring out what we're going to do next.
Well, he's still looking great in spite of all this. I'm thrilled that he's going to be out there in full form against the Warriors. And we've talked about minutes, 27 again in this one.
He looked less winded with his 27 today. He's starting to, you can tell he's playing his way into shape.
Yeah, and he was so limited in the finals, and he still had such a major impact. I'm thrilled to see what he's going to look like. Sherrod, to your point, I don't think Horford was out there last time either. No Wiggins in that game. So this is going to be, with 2 days off for both these teams, this is going to be finals level play in this game, I think. We know how the Warriors turned up for that last game after a losing streak coming in, and the Celtics, I think, are going to load up for this game. I wouldn't be stunned if Jalen really pushes to get out there for Thursday. This is going to be a big, big game. You don't get a lot of these in the regular season anymore. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I think everybody's going to be out there and everybody's going to be playing at a high, high level trying to take this one.
Yeah, the only thing I worry about in a game like this is some guys trying to do too much. And I think specifically of Tatum, because Tatum took a lot of heat for how he played last, and that's what comes with being one of the best players on your team. You're going to bear the brunt of criticism when things don't go well. Tatum knows that. I mean, celebrating his son's birthday party got him, heat from fans. And again, he embraces that reality. But at the same time, he doesn't let it consume him. And that's, to me, that's going to be the critical part of this game is how does Tatum handle the pressure that's going to come with being such a focal point of a really good championship-proven team like Golden State. Didn't do so well in the finals, didn't do well early this season. Can he get past that mental hurdle? Because I do think it's a bit of a hurdle that he has to get past and get through with this Golden State team for him to truly emerge as the guy that's going to lead a team to a title. You've got to get rid of your demons before you can get to heaven when it comes to this basketball game.
Right, and I feel like that was the thing that we were looking forward to the most. And sorry, kind of bear with me, guys. They got the most obnoxious PA guy doing this thing, but I like
Still sway.
But I think this one's more about the Celtics team as a whole. Like this team is deeper than they were even a couple of months ago, right? Guys like Malcolm Brogdon can get going, Derek White. I mean, I think that's like, sure, you want to see Tatum have a big game, but I don't think this is one of those games where it's just going to be like Tatum versus Curry, right? I think this is more about the Celtics team as a whole being way better than they were a couple of months ago when they first met up in the season.
Come on, Josue, be a pro. Get through that.
The best thing about this is Josue's audio is perfect tonight. Perfect. First time.
No popcorn popping.
Nothing. No popcorn. Perfect. Just perfect. And this friggin' asshole is just over the top, just messing with his mojo.
These post-game things drive me crazy.
Getting on that mic, I was just like,
can't the festivities end when the game ends?
And they're blasting Stain. Like, he's doing this over Stain. Excuse me, that's Dave Matthews. Now it's Dave Matthews. Jeez.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, we are gonna wrap it. Josue and Sherrod, as we said, they're on the road. They still got some work to do, so we'll kind of go. But I agree on the Tatum front and the Celtics front. We saw that everyone tried. After that Golden State game, it really exposed some things that we thought didn't still exist with this team. And they did slip into a lot of their worst tendencies for about 15 games after that, where we saw things pop up frequently we'd never seen before. And it kind of brought it out in them. Golden State
made a weird night.
Made the Celtics in the finals, made the Celtics play their worst for those last 3 games, and then they did it again to them this season, and it's the only team that had done that to that point, and I think it stuck with them. So I do think they got to get past this. They got to feel good about it. I know the fans love it because it's going to be an awesome atmosphere. So I'm jealous for all you guys who will be there. Yeah,
I could see the Celtics really unloading on them in that game. The way they've played lately, and given what happened last time, and just with how they figured it out since then. Other ways to score, other ways to get guys involved. The big men being available, as I talked about, I think that's a problem for Golden State. I think the Celtics and Golden State's road troubles as well. We've seen 4 wins on the road. I think the Celtics are going to come out and win this game emphatically.
This could be like a 50-point game, and Golden State will just kind of write it off and then whatever. But quick ones through again. We want to just give a shout out once again to our sponsors, HelloFresh, for all you guys who love meatloaf, fish, or just good food in general, restaurant quality food. Farm fresh ingredients delivered right to your doorstep. Simple, easy menu card that puts it together. Gourmet meals at home without all the fuss and muss of going shopping. Go to HelloFresh.com/Garden21. Use the code Garden21 for 21 free meals. Athletic Greens, baby. Go get yourself some of that. Supplement to start your day with. Go to athleticgreens.com/garden. Free 1-year supply vitamin D5 free travel packs. Again, 75 vitamins, minerals, gives you everything that you need to get your day started right and get your health back on track. So time to reclaim your health right now with Athletic Greens. And while you're getting healthy, why not save a little bit of money along the way? Go to Rocket Money, rocketmoney.com/garden. Save hundreds of dollars. Cancel unnecessary subscriptions right now. You support any of our sponsors on the Garden Report. Number 1, we'll love you. Number 2, we will send you a phenomenal t-shirt. And all you have to do is fill out the form. It's attached to our show description. Make sure you do that. Of course, follow all of us here on Twitter, or follow Celtic CLNS, both on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you'll be notified every time we do anything. If you follow our YouTube channels, hit that little bell. You'll be notified every time we go live or a new video posts. And you can check out Josue's post-game reports out of Charlotte here, as he is covering the team, as well as of our fleet of Celtics podcasts. And we have too many to mention right now. Guys, final thoughts before we wrap it?
Bring on the Warriors.
Bring it on.
Let's go.
I can't wait.
Absolutely. Fun. Send a message. All right. Get the beat up the bully. All right. We've been bullying you guys around. This is your chance to fight back, Celtics.
Yep.
Also,
send a message.
Real quick, guys. Shout out to Logan and I forget his girlfriend name, but Buckets. Big fans.
Is her name Buckets? Is her name Buckets?
Big fans of the show. We appreciate you. A couple other Celtics fans as well, man. We appreciate you guys stopping in Sherrod and I today and last game as well.
Good to know. Josue, I love it. Bobby, anything?
Nope, all good. I got it in.
Bobby, Sherrod, let's finish it with that. Bobby, let's have the PA announcer talk us out.
All right.
What's he saying? What's he got?
What's he got, Josue?
No?
Oh, now he wants to mute. Now he wants to be quiet. Dogs barking.
Too
Come
bad.
on.
Too bad.
What's up?
There it is.
All right. Thanks for hanging out here on this Martin Luther King matinee. We do appreciate it. I know some of you guys are at work. Some people, you might catch it on the repeat. You can always, of course, catch the audio version of the Garden Report if you don't get a chance to watch it all. You can just watch it back on YouTube. Or if you're driving, you want to listen to it, it's available where all podcasts are available, iTunes, Spotify, what have you. So check it out there as well. We will see you guys on Thursday. Look for us for Twitter Spaces on Wednesday. Good night, all.